Hi, LiberAnarchy here, and I would like to tell you, yes, you lie so much you believe yourself. Have you ever run into a person like that who literally does lie so much they believe themselves? Probably we all have. Have you ever run into a person that trains him or herself to be pessimistic? I know I have. um, I would like to talk about language and loading language and give you some examples. And if you're wondering, yes, this was influenced by a video that was shared with me, but this is also something I've been cogitating on because I've been watching a lot of Xenu TV, and I've been watching, of course, the anarchist videos, and many times they talk about the loaded language of the state. And of course, atheists will often complain about the loaded religion of theists, which is often simply a rhetorical trick, whether they realize it or not. Yeah. Offhand, I can't think of rhetorical tricks that theists pull, which is odd because there's just so many, but I just. Okay, brain fart. Well, moving on. One way to load the language is just to pick a new word. You may have something called, or you may advocate something that is clubbing baby seals, something that most people would disagree with. But in order to put a roadblock in front of your opposition who would argue against this, you name whatever you're advocating something that people like. The Happy Healthy Children Bill. Or just call it, not even bill, just call it Happy Healthy Children. So when you're Joe Blow congressman standing there in front of a podium, keep calling clubbing baby seals happy healthy children. That way your opposition, if and when they oppose, quote, happy healthy children, not HR in a bunch of numbers, happy healthy children, because that's what everybody knows it as now, they have to take time to explain that they are not actually against happy healthy children, but rather are against your particular bill and why your particular bill does not result in happy healthy children. Also, keep saying it over and over and over. And it's been said time and time again, but it's true. When people continue to hear something, they will believe it. And if not believe it, they'll repeat it. An example of this is healthcare. Very few, if anybody, who is against what's called by the Republicans Obamacare are actually against healthcare. Nobody except sociopaths are against healthcare. And so now they have another roadblock to explain why the particular proposed healthcare bill is, for reasons XYZ, not a good idea. Rather than, and to do that, they have this extra hurdle of explaining that they are not against healthcare. Besides, what politician is going to stand up and say, I'm against healthcare? So, and that's why you have a lot of naming and renaming and renaming and redefining and redefining and redefining and redefining of terms, and repeating of these terms in the arena of political rhetoric. Same thing with religion. Not only will you hear rhetorical tricks like trying to rename things. For example, rename atheism nihilism, which now atheism is lack of a belief in a God, and certainly there are different kinds of atheism, and certainly people can do different things with atheism. Some people make it into like some kind of idealistic da-da-da-da. Sure, someone can even be religious about it, although it would be a little bit weird, but it can happen, and you know what, it does happen, because humans have a way of doing that, being religious about things, right? So sure, it can happen, but and mind you, people who, this brings me to my next point, people who are going to just call atheism nihilism are probably going to redefine a word too, and they're going to redefine nihilism. And probably they're going to redefine it as everything sucks. Or maybe they're just going to redefine atheism as a complete lack of morals. Ask a conservative what conservatism actually is, and he will likely give you a definition more akin to classical conservatism. Ask a very dyed-in-the-wool liberal, don't hear those words put together much, do you? What conservatism is, and you'll get a definition more akin to Christian fundamentalism. So, now, another way that language is often loaded is phrasing things such that it puts an idea in your mind, and your job is to question that idea before you proceed, or if you're going to, or decide that you're going to just go with a particular idea, go with a particular implied premise in order to finish interacting with this person, because it's too much trouble to argue against something that may be nonsense or may be incidental. An example somebody else recently gave me, and I'm not saying who because it was in a video that, as I understand it, he was only sharing with a few people. So the example that he gave me was when a salesperson is giving advice to a person who has not bought the product, and he says, when you buy this product, after you buy this product, because already the idea is going into their minds. Now some people are going to say, but I have not bought the product. I haven't decided I'm going to buy this product. And then, see, that's why I don't go to psychic readers anymore, because I do that to them, and I tell them when they're wrong. I don't nod and say, yeah, because I get the basic gist of what they're saying. They'll imply something, and I'll question it. But I haven't, bought the product, or, what do you mean it's my higher self? I don't necessarily accept that premise, right? And if you hear noise in the background, sorry if it's distracting. I'm almost done rambling. So, what I was saying. Wow. So what I was saying, but if you don't question the premise, it's already in there in your mind. It doesn't matter if you haven't actually decided consciously. It's there. It's been put there. It doesn't mean that that necessarily controls your actions, but it influences them. And the next way that people use language or media in general to control you, whether they're selling you a product or selling you a political party or a political platform or selling you a religion or selling you an ideology or anything else, they will tell you a story, whether the story is true or false. Oftentimes it's a story to scare you. It may be a TV commercial, and this is an example I got from a book. It may be a TV commercial that tells a story of a home invasion. Even though you haven't studied the statistics on home invasion, and you don't necessarily have any clue whether or not it is likely, even if in your area, in your place of residence, it's not at all likely, and it's more likely that you're going to die in a car wreck, the idea of a home invasion is already in your mind. So you may buy the alarm system because you're afraid of a home invasion, and yet drive your car to work every day. Or another example that any religion might give you is a scenario where a positive scenario where you have hope and peace and love and joy, your family's getting along, and when your body dies, when you slough off this mortal coil, the gates of heaven fling open, revealing God's holy continence, as opposed to what, incontinence? No, incontinence is more the church. They just spew BS whether or not they actually try, and oftentimes they are actually trying, but anyway, different rant. But it can also be used positively, and I'm talking about, admittedly, people who are trying to like deceive you. But if I'm making a video and I'm saying, imagine a society where a where a 93-year-old grandmother will not have her home invaded by police officers and will not get shot over a plant. I propose to you that drug prohibition is a complete and utter failure. I start out with, imagine this scenario. By the way, that is based in truth, something that happened in Atlanta last year. And by the way, this woman didn't possess any drugs anyway. But anyway, so what I was saying is, I start out putting an idea in your mind, even though the idea may be completely erroneous. And then I go into my argument. It's like, okay, since it's more positive than negative, okay, now let me explain how I think we are actually going to get there, right? And I'm framing it also as something that is possible, rather than something that is impossible. Voting is choosing between the lesser of two evils. That the implications there is that voting cannot be anything else. This is what voting is. This is the definition of voting. So that reinforces the idea of a two-party system. Now, a libertarians being the largest third party, they might say something to you like, voting is your opportunity to throw the rascals out. And then they might go into explaining how voting does not have to be voting for a Republican or a Democrat. And on a local level, it doesn't actually have to be. There are libertarian governors, there are libertarian mayors, there are libertarian legislators on the local level. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into my own politics, but my point is that I've been thinking about loaded language lately, right on, alliteration. But it can be used to positive ends. It's often not. It's often used in very dishonest ways. And I've become more and more aware of how it is used and how I have just repeated things unthinkingly, even after I understand that language is loaded. I have found myself saying, we won World War II. We referring to the Allied nations. I had nothing to do with that. The implication is, however, that I somehow share in this collective victory. There is a very collectivist implication there. And I got shit to do. But thanks for listening if you got this far. So if you're interested in honest debate, try not to load your language. However, if you are going to load your language, I would much prefer you do it in a helpful, positive way. Lead into your point rather than trying to strawman other people or trying to get people to accept things that they probably don't want to accept, but they aren't necessarily conscious of what you're doing. I mean, be honest about what you're doing. Alright. So, like I said, thanks for listening, and I will see you guys next time I see you. And happy freaking holidays, because I'm really busy with holiday stuff, so I won't be on too often.